This video is an introduction to working out at home, what equipment, if any, you need, and it's aimed at the people who are larger, whether you are obese, morbidly obese, or just generally unfit. If you are a gym junkie and you are going and doing exercise on a regular basis, this video isn't for you. It's for those people who are starting out on their weight loss journey, or who just want to get a little bit more from their weight loss journey, coming from a place of doing not very much exercise at all. It's basically where I started a few years ago and how I've got to the point now. And hopefully this will help you with your workouts at home and getting that little bit more exercise into your daily routine. My name is Mark and I'm here to help you live a better, healthier life. My goal is to help as many people as I can get into shape and improve their quality of life. Now, if this is your first time here and you want to learn more about practical and effective ways to improve your health, fitness and overall wellness, or if you're just interested in expanding your knowledge about fitness and nutrition, start now by hitting the subscription button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. And now, without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so you are starting your weight loss journey, or you're at that point in your weight loss journey where you want to do more exercise and you're not sure where to even start. Maybe the gym is a daunting place to go, or you just don't want to go under the current environment. Both of those things are fine. There are lots of things you can do at home, but before we go into specifics, let's first talk about why. Why should you do some exercise at home? The fact is that diet is really important. You know, what you eat, what you put into your body will determine how well you lose weight, how much energy you have, all the rest of it. We've talked at length about nutrition and diet, or rather lifestyle. But one of the things that we haven't really talked about yet is exercise. Apart from the fact that I walk, you know, as a form of cardio, which is very good. But it's what do you want to do when you get to a comfortable point with your walking, which is where I was a little while ago. It's then throwing in some, you know, exercises that help build that muscle, because more muscle you have, the more energy your body will burn just to maintain itself. So having lean muscle is really important. And the fact is that if you are living a very sedentary life, in terms of you work at a desk, you know, you're working from home these days, you know, you're going out for a little bit of a walk, but you're living, you know, on the couch, you're making improvements, but you want to take it to that next step. The fact is that the more you move, the more you get involved with things around you, then the easier it will be, on top of your nutrition and your lifestyle changes, to lose that extra bit of weight. And that's what I want to talk about here today, is the fact that movement, any type of energy expenditure, will help you, as long as you don't use it as an excuse to eat more, which I have done in the past. So I do confess that I used to look at it as, oh, I've burnt 200 calories, therefore I can have that treat. But if you're smarter than me and you actually get to the point where you go and do the exercise and treat it as an extra deficit that your diet stroke lifestyle hasn't given you, you'll find that those results will come marching in, and it will be very good for you, both physically and mentally. So this is all about getting moving more. You've started doing those walks, you've got up off the couch, you've gone for a walk at lunchtime, in the evening, in the morning, whatever it is that works for you, and you're now at that point where you want to do some more. And that's where we're going to talk about what you need in the house, some hints and tips for you, and then you can go from there. So let's talk very briefly about goals. So you've got a goal that you're on a fitness journey, you're losing weight, that's great. But you're obviously thinking about doing more exercise at home other than a little bit of walking here and there. So what are the goals? My advice is start small. Set your goals that you are, you know, reasonable, but challenging, but reasonable. So things like, I set myself a goal of being able to do a push-up, singular, the one. Now, I will change that goal when I get there, and I can just about do it now, but it's taken me quite a while to get to that point. Things like planks and everything else that we'll talk about later are really great for improving your core strength and everything else. But I could only hold it for a few seconds at first, and probably now up to a minute or so. And it takes a lot of effort, and I'm a sweaty mess by the end of it. But these are all things that you can build up to. And one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later is modifications, because they will be really important, particularly if you're like me and carrying extra weight. You can't just go straight into doing 20 push-ups, and I can't even contemplate doing a pull-up. We'll work on that, but it is one of those things that set your goals. What would make you really happy? What would make you over the moon if you manage to do a pull-up, a sit-up, whatever it is, whatever that goal is? Set them small. You can always increase them over time as it becomes easier. So can you actually hold a plank for a few seconds? Is it 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and build it up from there. So set your goals, because that will mean that as you get further on and you progress and you feel better about what you're doing and you get stronger, not only are you burning some weight, getting a little bit of a sweat on, but also you're hitting your goals, which will make you feel really good about it. So set small goals to start off with. You can increase them later. So let's talk about equipment. It would be lovely if you had a fully equipped gym at home with all the machines and things that you'd see in a gym, but quite frankly, a lot of us would not even know where to start with a lot of that equipment. So it is one of those things that, what do you actually need to start? Well, the fact is that all you need is a pair of shorts and a top or whatever you don't mind getting a little bit sweaty, and a little bit of floor space to actually do it. There are a couple of things I've found very useful being bigger that make things easier. So for example, a yoga mat and some yoga blocks, which are basically just foam blocks. They make certain exercises a little bit easier, particularly if you're like me and having your wrist extended for a push-up is quite painful. Putting your hand on a block makes it a little bit easier to start off with, or of course you can do it on your fists. So there are little things like that that would be very handy to have. It's easier being bigger. It is easier on your knees when you've got a yoga mat on the floor rather than a hard floor, but if it's a carpeted floor, that'll work just as well. So what equipment do you need? Really, you don't. You need the will to get started. There are lots of things that you can get that will add to your exercise as you're going forward, but there are lots of things out there that are body weight exercises that you don't need the equipment for. Dumbbells and barbells and resistance bands are all very nice, but you do not need them to get started. It might be something you'll want to throw a few dollars at and buy later on down the line, but the key, as I've always said, is to start. The hardest bit is starting, is carving that time, that extra time out of your day, whether it's in the morning, in the evening, at lunchtime, to actually say to yourself, right, this half an hour, this 20 minutes is going to be my exercise time at home. And that is the bit that you need to do. The equipment, it's nice. Having some barbells, dumbbells, or resistance bands, or even a home gym, multi-gym type thing is great. But not only is it expensive, but it takes up space that you might not have. And to be brutally honest, if you go through phases like I do, where you don't use them for a few months, they start to be a kind of guilt. Every time you notice them, you think, I really should do something, but I'm not. So when it comes to equipment, you will find lots of people out there that will promote this equipment or that equipment, and it's nice and it gives you extra things you can do, but do not let that stop you. This is why this is an intro to working out at home. It is something that you don't need. You do not need lots of equipment to get started. Just doing air squats on your own without carrying weight is still more than you were doing before you started doing them. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail in this video over exercises and routines, but I do want to have a big shout out to a YouTube channel called Hybrid Calisthenics. calisthenics. I can't say the word properly. I put it as a featured channel on my channel. I think that that guy has got, you know, a lot of things to say that are right in terms of, you know, outlook on life and positive and doing more. But one of the key things he introduces into his exercise routines is this whole idea of modifications and building up to something. A few people reached out and told me about doing incline push-ups, where you literally start off by leaning against a wall and doing push-ups against a wall, and then you move down to a table or to a chair and make it harder as you go forward. And then of course you can do it on your knees rather than legs outstretched. And the whole idea of this is a progression, so you are building up from nothing to doing something. So what you need to think about at home is not what equipment I have, but what you want to do from it. Do you want to work on your legs or your upper body? Do you want to work on your core? You know, there are lots of things to do with leg extensions and everything else, and I will be doing some videos of things that I found quite useful over the years. But it is one of those things, there are channels out there like Hybrid Calisthenics that have really good and will do it better than I have in terms of explaining those progressions and explaining what you can do going forward. So sit there and have a bit of a think about your goals in terms of what do you want to do. Not just I want to get fitter, not just I want to lose some weight, because doing any exercise will help you with that. But have a little bit of a goal in terms of I want to be able to do 10 push-ups. What do I need to get from sitting on a couch to being able to do those 10 push-ups? And part of that is actually not worrying about the equipment you have, but having a look on the likes of Google, you know, on YouTube, and actually having a look for things that will help you progress to that point. In the description below this video, to try and help you, I've included a couple of videos that I've found really helpful in terms of, you know, those progressions and exercises. And I set some really simple goals when I started doing exercise. Not that I wanted to lose extra weight, not that I wanted to become ripped and buff and all the rest of it, because they are just, you know, too long distance for me. But what I did do is sit there and go, I want to be able to do, you know, 10 push-ups. I want to be able to do, you know, 100 sit-ups in a day. You know, those are goals that you can actually do and work on and build up to as you go through. You know, I want to be able to hold a plank for a minute. You know, all things that you can do that will help you and your overall fitness and your weight loss, because while you're practicing these things, you are burning more energy than you were before. So it all builds up to it as long as you don't eat those calories. I'll say it again. Don't follow me on this one. Don't, you know, for several years I went to the gym and then thought, I've been to the gym, I burnt 300 or 400 calories, 500 calories. That means I can have. Don't do it. Yeah, just, I'm saying now, just don't do it. It will set you back and it will form other bad habits that you'll get into in terms of your eating habits that are just not good. But those goals you've got, you don't need the fancy equipment to do most of those. You know, if you don't have a step at home, you've probably got stairs in the house or something you can step onto outside in the garden. It is one of those things that there are lots of things you can do without having to go and actually buy lots of equipment. Okay, and just a little comment about hints and tips here for you and your exercise at home. I'll be talking about in future videos about the routines I have at home and what I'm adding to my walking with in terms of exercises. Most of the work I'll be doing will be body weight exercise, so anybody can do it, and I'll list those as we go through this series of videos. But here's some little hints and tips for you. Just because you want to do a press up and you can't doesn't mean you won't be able to get there. But what you need to do is work up to it. So when you are looking for hints and tips, and I will give you some of those, look for things that will help you get to your goal. So my goal that I set, was it 2 months ago probably now? It's a little bit behind schedule because of my trapped nerve in my neck. But I said to myself, I want to be able to do a proper press up. You know, knees off the ground, proper press up. And I'm just about there now. But I didn't go straight from nothing to a press up. I started off leaning against a wall. I built up to doing it on a table, then on a chair, then on my knees, and I'm just about, at a push-up. And what I did over time was increase the number of reps I did, repetitions I did. I increased the difficulty of it by reducing the incline. So rather than going from a wall, to a table, to a chair, onto my knees, and then actually mostly onto my face, to be brutally honest, at the start, but we're almost there with that. Your body, if you're anything like me and you're at the start of this process, your body is quite heavy. You probably haven't used muscles in a lot of different ways for quite some time. Don't be put off with it. Just build up slowly and have goals there. As a bigger person, modifications are the key. Having, 2 yoga blocks, which they cost a couple of dollars, they're nothing. But that meant that I could actually have the heels of my hands on there, but my fingers over the edge, which meant that I didn't actually have to have my wrists fully extended with my weight. That can get quite sore quite quickly. Little things like that, or doing it on your fists, they will actually help you get a little bit further, particularly if you've got your fists on something soft like a yoga mat or a carpet or even a towel. It doesn't have to be anything much. Those things will allow you to make progress and make things easier. And hopefully as you're doing this, you get lighter because you're not eating your calories, remember? And then if you get lighter, things will get easier. You'll be able to do more reps. So it is one of those things. In terms of my biggest hint and tip is don't let an injury, don't let something stop you from setting a goal and working towards it. If you are, like me, have fairly weak wrists compared to my body mass, then there are things you can do to make it easier and work up to being able to do what is a proper push-up. It is one of those things that if you set a goal, there will be ways to actually work towards it. And I would love to know what your goals are. So please do leave a comment in the comment section and tell me what your goals are, because that would be great to see what other people's goals are. Mine certainly is to be able to do 10 regular push-ups. I'll settle for 1 to start off with. I find that gravity is great at helping you go down and not so good at helping you go back up. Just my thought on that. But please do leave me a comment with what your goals are as you go through. And as always, if you like these videos, please do hit the like button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and getting these videos out there, and would be greatly appreciated. And as always, I will see you in the next video.